Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who are here sharing their insights and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, where we help businesses scale revenue through outside the box visibility strategies. If you're new to the podcast and this is your first time joining us, welcome. We're happy to have you here. Please stay to the end because we have a special gift just for you. But without further ado, I'm excited to be joined by a fellow Floridian. She doesn't live here anymore, but she was born and raised here, which I was born and raised here. So it's very exciting to have a fellow Floridian on the show. So welcome, Pam Boney with Tilt 365 to the podcast.
Thank you, Heidi. It's great to be here with you.
It is great to talk with you. So Pam, can you share with us, tell us a little bit about yourself, about Tilt 365 and your role within it?
Yes, so I'm of the same background that you are. I became a coach 25 years ago, and really also came from the hospitality industry previously. So my previous career was a senior executive at Hilton, where I got really interested in leadership development and how people can perform better, how they can be a better version of themselves. And really, I wanted to spend most of my time growing and mentoring and developing people instead of running hotels, which was fun when I was younger, but it was kind of what I wanted to do later. So I left 25 years ago, left the industry and launched my coaching practice, went back to graduate school and majored in, got a master's in industrial organizational psychology to take the framework of TILT, which is a leadership framework based on 12 character strengths, and do the science on it and test it for its psychometric rigor. In that doing that, I decided to build a suite of assessments that are for use in the coaching industry. That's what TILT does.
So who is specifically, do you work with is it a broad-based coaching where you work with coaches, all different types of coaches, or you niche down into a specific industry of coaching?
Yeah, it's mostly business coaches, organizational coaches, but really they've come from all different places that I never would have imagined. We have coaches all over the world. We are a global organization, and our chief learning officer is located in Switzerland, for example. So we do certifications in the TILT framework and the science behind it, and teach coaches how to use these assessments to grow their business, basically.
So can you share, Pam, how TILT assessments help individuals, coaches, and teams perform better?
Yeah, so most personality assessments that I encountered previously in the hotel industry just tell you kind of, here's your pattern, here's your thing, this is you, and here's how you could be a little bit better. What I wanted to do, because I'm a coach, I wanted to go a lot deeper than that and go to a more, kind of shine the light on what makes us do what we do. And because I found that most people don't really know why their personality is the way that it is. So I decided to, take the personality industry to a whole nother level and have people discover the root cause of the drivers of their behavior. When people read the first True Tilt assessment, that is kind of our starter product, the True Tilt personality profile, when they read it, they often are like, my gosh, how did you know all these things about me? So it's very helpful to get your client really engaged in their coaching. When they read a report like this, they can't wait to get on that call with their coach and explore it further and understand themselves better. So it's kind of this provocative tool that is also simple and visual and memorable and lots of other things, but it's really mainly, as a coach, I wanted people to get excited about change and to understand themselves and to grapple with the true things that create those repeating patterns that are hard to break out of.
So can you share what the process of using the strength-based insights look like in practice?
Yeah, so we have the first product I was telling you about. That's kind of the beginning product that we use, and we often are using it with teams. So coaches also do team interventions and work with teams about their team dynamics and offsites and so forth. So usually it's the first person takes the assessment, the team leader or someone on the team, then the team takes it, and then we go in and do a workshop. And we have a number of workshops and offer certification in how to do that. And we've found that that really helps coaches to make more money because um, the really the you know the it's much more beneficial to work with a group of people and then coach the leader because all of those dynamics have interplays with each other. And it just creates kind of a 60/40, business model for coaches that helps them stay in front of the room. That feeds their coaching business. The coaching feeds the next teamwork and so forth. So that's the first part. And then the second part is a SaaS-based product that is a growth product. It's the Agility Growth Tracker. And that's something that enables a consultant or coach to work with a team over the course of a couple of years and really turn it into a much bigger, support mechanism for the team.
So you've mentioned teams a few times. So what size coaching business is your company best serving? What size should they
We
be
love
for them?
we love to work with business coaches that are working with teams, and usually teams are 20 people or less. But we often will go into a company that way in one team that's a leader that's kind of innovative and likes doing new things with their team every year. But then it turns into now we want to cascade it to the next level, and then now we want to cascade it to the next level. So it ends up being the next group is 50 people, and then the next group ends up being 170 people. And, so it turns into a lot more business inside of companies that way. And it becomes much more lucrative for the practitioner.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure we clarified who you best serve. So those listening could be like, oh, that's me,
Yeah.
So Tilt goes beyond fixed personality types as you were sharing. So how do tools like the Agility Growth Tracker that you shared with us help people shift from rigidity to more adaptive, agile thinking?
Well, so you've probably been in a personality workshop before yourself, Heidi, and we often are putting people into four corners of the room and sharing what that pattern is like and so forth. Well, we like to shake it up right after we do that and immediately help people shift to, well, what's your second favorite corner and what's your third favorite corner and what's your least favorite corner, and help them realize that they're really already doing all four patterns all the time. It's whole person development. So we find that the more advanced thinkers are people that can shift their thinking based on the context or the situation very quickly, and that it opens up that belief system so that you're not thinking, well, this is me and that's them. No, you have the capacity to be a lot of different, patterns of behavior.
Mm.
Everybody does. And we all, have access to being able to be different by choice. And so we move people around the room and help them realize that if they just take off that self-limiting belief of I am a blah blah blah, like putting them in a box, then they begin to expand how they show up in the world.
Yeah, because we have pieces of each of the personality traits inside of all us. We just kind of lean more into possibly one or two, but it's
Hmm.
important that we learn to flex into the other ones, especially when it comes to sales and relationships, right? So if I'm one style, I lean more into one style or two styles, but somebody else is the other two styles, and I can recognize that and I can lean into that. Do you help people learn how to do that so they can build
Yes.
those relationships faster? Is that part of what you do? I'm intrigued. So that's why you've got my curiosity going.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we do. And we help them see that they're already doing it.
Mm,
Like that's really it. Psychologists have taught over the last 50 years have taught people that you're a type. And, we all kind of bought into that, right? I just happened to be one of those people that was sitting in the room in a Myers-Briggs workshop 30 years ago and said, whoa, 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 I'm a lot more than that. I think that we are all a little bit rebels inside and we all have the capacity to be many different things and not just one thing. Yes, we
mm,
have a favorite way of showing up. Yes, we have strengths that are our favorite strengths, but those strengths we can get tired of over
mhm.
time. It really is more about what interests us, and that's where we're headed next. So our interests are what drive us to where we're headed next, and that could be very different set of strengths than what we had 10 years ago.
Yeah. So what role does self-awareness, because we kind of just were leaning talking into that, like it's knowing, understanding where you are, and then kind of understanding where somebody else is, and then learning to lean into that. So what role does self-awareness play in cultivating a culture of trust, psychological safety, and innovation, especially in high stress environments?
Yeah, super question, Heidi. I think that's a really important question because of the coaching profession. We have taught coaches that are working in organizations that the first thing you do in a coaching engagement is do a 360 feedback, either instrument or interviews. And I'm trying to turn that on its heels, upside down, because I don't think that's the best way to start a coaching relationship. What that does very often, especially with women, is point them to what other people think about you is more important than what you think about you. And it can shut you down. So I really think that that's not the best way to build trust in the beginning in a relationship. And who wants to have the first thing their coach is doing is going and asking everybody what you should change about yourself. Like it's very early on in my coaching career, I quit doing that because I saw that it was more damaging than helpful. And so I did build a 360 assessment. I'm an assessment company that built assessments for coaching. So I did build one that I think is better than most, but we actually just sunsetted it last year because we feel like the world is so divisive now that you're inviting, people that probably think very different from you to come in and tell you how you should be. And right now, that's speaking of psychological safety, it's not a good time to do that. So what we've done is the Agility Growth Tracker is a disruptor for 360 feedback. We have found an interesting way to build an assessment that has algorithms in it that help you to assess yourself honestly and answer questions about whether you might be overusing some of your strengths or not, and maybe underusing some of your strengths or not. And it gives you science-backed insights instead of opinion-based feedback. And then it comes from the inside out and it helps strengthen you from the inside instead of focusing your energy on trying to please everybody, which
Mm,
we think is very dissipating for your energy.
yeah. So, Pam, you mentioned your background in hospitality. So, looking back, which leadership insights did you gain from your hospitality career that still influence how you lead Tilt 365 today?
Yeah, but really, really important question because my realization back then was that personality can only get you so far. It's truly your character, which is your chosen set of behaviors that are going to shape your destiny, both
Mm,
in personal life and in work. So I made choices early on, in my career that I want to be a good leader. And I knew that there were behaviors I needed to erase, get out of my habitual patterns that I needed to aspire to in order to be a better leader. A good example is I grew up in a family full of a lot of competition in the family, and everybody was sarcastic, and I had this really good skill of being funny and sarcastic when I was early in my career. And I learned that the word sarcasm comes from the Latin tearing of flesh. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe that's not a good thing. So I chose actually to erase that from my behavior patterns, and I stopped using sarcasm to be funny. And it was hard to give up, but it was a choice in terms of the kind of leader that I wanted to be. I didn't want to be a leader that would make fun of someone, to manipulate behavior or whatever through humor. I learned how to be funny and use levity in a more healthy, clean way. You do definitely want to still use your humor, but that's just one example of a choice for character that makes you do something that's hard and courageous. Learning to speak in front of other people, like that was a big one in the hospitality industry. I had to be on stage quite a lot. That was
mm,
scary at first, and I was kind of terrified at first, but when you get up and you do it over and over, you eventually overcome your fears and become, you start thinking about your audience and how can I help them? What can I do to serve them? You stop thinking about yourself.
Yeah. So you and Tilt have reached over 160,000 users across industries. So, or across the coaching industry. So can you share with us, I want to switch to a little bit of visibility and marketing. What are you doing? What have you done? What are you doing to stay at the forefront and getting in front of these coaching companies? Because, it's very noisy out there, a lot of competition, especially in the coaching space. Especially, I would say it's probably one of the biggest industries that I've seen out there because I was in it, and maybe because I was in it, that's why it seems like it's so noisy. But there's a lot of competition. So how are you staying, like, standing out from the crowd? How are you getting visible? What's working for you to get in front of your ideal client, your ICP, and maybe what are some of the things that you tried that haven't worked for you?
Yeah. So I would say that, so the pandemic had a big impact on our industry. We were really busy during the pandemic helping people, but post-pandemic it's been challenging. And yes, it has been challenging for a lot of coaches. A lot of our coaches retired. I'm probably older than you are, so a lot of the people that were early Tilt users have retired since the pandemic. So we're rebuilding and actively looking for the kinds of practitioners that are the next generation that are, in right now in their 30s, in their 40s, that are going to be coaching, for the next 20 years. So we've been doing that for the last 3 or 4 years. We rebuilt everything also post pandemic. We know that everybody's kind of cognitively overloaded, and our courses were more difficult, more complex pre-pandemic. So we have simplified everything. Some of that is that when you do something for many, many years, you can figure out how to simplify it. So we've simplified everything. We rebuilt everything the last 2 years. We rebuilt our tech stack using AI and all the most modern technology. So we've really been kind of heads down for the last 2 years, rethinking and reimagining and planning again. And we actually killed our first product, the 360 feedback tool. We decided to let it go. That was hard to do, but it was the right thing to do. And then we built the agility growth tracker. So there's nothing out there like that. And it's really helpful for coaches to be able to work with a client in a way where they're not scaring them half to death. They're actually helping them grow that strength from the inside out. So reimagining your products and rebuilding for simplification. Right now, we're working on a whole new go-to-market plan. We have, our, first product, and then it grows, into the agility growth tracker, and it grows into the team, and then it grows into the enterprise. So we have a growth path where eventually, you're entrenched in an organization and you become part of their language. So that's our strategy. But we are currently focused on finding the next generation of who are the people that are going to be working with organizations, as I said. And so we're using LinkedIn to do that, LinkedIn Navigator, and going out there and just looking for the right people.
Yeah. So what are some challenges? Because you've been in business now for it's been a long time. So you've grown the
Yeah.
business, you've seen the ups and downs. What are some of the challenges that you've gone through, that you've moved through, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so I'll talk about one that's recent. I think that the way the business world has changed in the last 5 years, like we used to be very big in tech companies. Our two anchor clients were Red Hat on the East Coast and Facebook on the West Coast. From that, we grew with referrals, both sides of the U.S. But politics has made a big difference in the last 7 or 8 years. People have become more divisive, and people have become less interested in leadership development, less focused on diversity, inclusion, coaching, building a safe, work environment. All of those things are not as interesting to the bigger companies, and particularly tech forward big companies. They're not spending as much money on that sort of thing, and they're very focused on skill building. So that's what we've done with our courses, is we've reimagined them and focused them very much on skill building. And that, we hope is helpful. Our customers are already kind of coming back right now and saying, "Oh, I like what you've done." So that's been important, and also simplifying so that they can implement and scale a lot more easily. So, that's been a tough time the last couple of years, but we've also worked with our coaches to stop focusing where you're going to get a lot of no's and instead focus on your community. because people in communities are still very interested in, how do we take care of our customers? Like, dental offices, doctors, hospitals, hotels. In your community, there are a lot of people who still want coaching, still care about leadership development, still care about growing themselves, and they're still close enough to the customer where they care. So
Mhm.
we've had with our practitioners, we've told them go focus where people care and just do what you can to serve the people that you connect with.
Yeah.
That's
And
been good.
you created your agility growth tracker, which you've had to be agile for your growth. You've
Mm.
shared like you had to be flexible, you've had to pivot a little bit, and kind of bob and weave with the change at the times. And I've done that in my business. And that's one thing we've touched on, not too much on this podcast, but some. Like you got to know when to pivot and how to pivot, right? And don't be afraid of pivoting, because pivoting doesn't mean you're scratching your entire business model. It could mean that you're just changing up a product. You're saying goodbye to an old product that no longer is serving, right? Or you're tweaking it to make it better. And you all have done that. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's a big gold nugget for those of you who are, if you're starting a business and you're listening, don't be afraid to know that in a year from now, there's some things you might be scrapping and starting over on, or you could just be tweaking them some as you're evolving and growing. Because as our business evolves, our products and our services will also evolve many times. It's an important, it's
We won't survive, actually.
exactly.
So we have to be willing to do what we ask our clients to do, which is let go of how things work. And that's part of, lining up with reality. This is how the world is. So line up with it and figure out how to serve and show up every day and take care of the people who show up.
Yeah, and it's good to really be communicating. Like you were talking about communication, like communication is key. Communication is important. Being able to talk to who is in your community, right?
Mhm.
Whether they're your clients or not, if they're in your community, then they're there for a reason. They trust you, they know you, they like you. Talk to them, have conversations with them, find out what they want, what they're looking for, and see if you can provide that answer for them, that result for them. That's going to solve the problem that they have. And I think the more we do that, sometimes we can bury our head in the sand with getting on into one thing. And then when we bring it to market, we find out it's not the problem that our people are looking for. So, and understanding that the problem that our people have can change and evolve. And we have to be willing to change and evolve with that. Pandemic, there was a major problem. You were solving it, right? You were there. And you were thriving. And then when the pandemic came to an end, you got to like make some shifts and some pivots a little bit to move it along with that transition. If I could give you a magic wand, Pam, and you can wave it over one challenge or issue you're having right now, what would that be? If you could go poof on it, make it disappear, what would that be and why?
Yeah, I would say that finding lead generation is a big one. Every day I get people in my email, trying to convince me that they have the best lead generator. I'm trying to figure out like what's one that works for us. And, that's not easy right now. Finding the right client at the right time and then serving them well is really important. And it's gotten more difficult, I think.
Yeah. Well, can you share with us how we can connect with you? How can we reach out to you for those of our audience that's listening going, I need you all? How can they learn more about Tilt and also connect with you?
Yeah, so we actually give our assessments to coaches and consultants for free,
Awesome.
always just for their own development, whether you decide to work with our tools or not. And that's just our way of giving back to the profession. So anyone that wants to, try a True Tilt personality profile or an agility growth tracker, you can write to Pam at tilt365.com or support at tilt365.com, and we'll set you up so that you can do your own assessment. And I'll even talk with you about it if you decide you have questions about it. And then our hope, of course, is that you'll love it so much that you'll want to use it with your clients. So that's, of course, what we get back if you end up wanting to do it. But visiting tilt365.com is the place to come to check it out.
Amazing. Well, definitely, I mean, it's free. go check it out, go have fun with it, go learn more about yourself, right? And take the assessment. Go, and you can go to grab it at pam@tilt365.com or support at tilt365.com. And you can go learn more about Tilt 365 at tilt365.com. And we will have all of Pam's contact information, all of her social media links, all the good stuff in the show notes. So if you're listening or you're driving, no worries, we got you. Go to the show notes and you can grab all that goodness there. If you are watching us on YouTube, and Pam and I are grateful, thank you. We say hello. Leave a comment below for Pam. Let her know you heard her here. Ask any questions. And also there's a button on this page if you're on YouTube. You may not know about it. It says the word subscribe. We would love for you to hit that button. That allows us to alert you when we have amazing guests like Pam on the show. They are here supporting me in my mission on creating more businesses thriving and growing. There's a stat out there. I don't know if y'all have heard it. I've mentioned a number of times, 90% of businesses fail within the first five years. We want to flip that number. We would like to see it 90% or more are thriving in the first 5 years. And our guests are here to support me in that mission on sharing what's been working for them and what hasn't worked for them. So you can take that information and use what's useful for you to make yourself, to help your business grow. If you know of anybody that could use Tilt 365, the assessment, any coaches, people who are coaches out there and have coaching businesses, please share this episode with them so we can get Tilt 365 out to more people. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform like Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all the other ones, and you can leave a review, we would love for you to hit that 5 stars. If you can actually leave a written review, we would love that too. That allows the platform and notifies them that there's action happening and they should push Pam and Tilt 365 out to more people, as well as this podcast, so we can support more businesses in growing. I did promise y'all a gift, so here it is. If you're looking to grow your visibility and you feel like you've been throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying different things, Pam has shared with you her challenges. She also shared with you what's been working for her in Tilt 365. And you're looking for more ways to help yourself grow, go grab our Spotlight to Scale blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint and grab that for you. Pam, before I let you go, I'm so grateful for your time. Is there any last words that you'd like to share or say that I didn't get to ask you, or we didn't touch on today?
I don't think so. I think I'm good, and I really enjoyed being on the show. Heidi, you're really talented at what you do, and it's been fun watching you do this very last bit with your audience. So thank you.
Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful that you took time out of your busy day. I know you're on the East Coast too, like me, so it's later in the day. It's almost 5 p.m. here. We're starting to get a little rain going to come through, so I know it's getting dark on your end too. So thank you for meeting with me at the end of the day, sharing your wisdom, and spending some time with me. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thanks so much for everything.
Thank you all for listening to Pam and I. We're grateful for you listening to us and being here. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlights.